What's up, Stranger 9? Good to see you. Team Adreno is here. Salute. President Zadi. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome everybody. We had some early adoption today on YouTube, which is great. Welcome everybody. Marcy, artsy redhead. Carl, how you doing? Welcome everybody. All right, I'm expecting a fun conversation today. Zippy. Wait, Zadi and Zippy are the same? Or you're different people? Brad. Are you trying black light laser combo? No, not yet. Black light is something I tried even before I discovered the laser, and something was there, but it wasn't very clear what it was. So it was definitely not as coherent as what we see in the laser. Welcome everybody. So I have to do the due diligence and just notify all the newcomers what this channel is about. This channel usually revolves around the simulation hypothesis. My name is Danny, and I'm claiming to have found actual proof that we live in a simulation. And we meet here every single day to discuss the discovery, the experiment, science, religion, spirituality, philosophy. Did I say religion? I did. And philosophy. Whatever comes to mind, really. Yesterday, actually, we were discussing the measurement of the speed of light. That was fun. I rewatched the Veritasium video about this. I also have a crazy thing with my beard here. Gotta go fix it soon. So I have some comments about that. Hopefully Mr. Z is gonna come on YouTube and we'll be able to discuss it. Lily5571, TKO. Welcome everybody. And it would be fun if we have any physicists in the house to basically bring them on and discuss this. By the way, President Zadi, did you try the laser? How about an infinity box? A black light, some fog, and a laser. Yeah, fog wouldn't work because it's a random distribution. I did try smoke just to say I did it, but it's not going to work because you need something coherent to come back to your eye, which is not the case. My beard drives me crazy. Which is not the case with smoke. You can see the beam of the laser because you can see certain photons coming back from the beam, but you won't be able to see anything. It needs to reflect off of something for you to see content, because the code is not in the light, it's in the surface. The light just bounces off the surface and shows you what's inside. What's my favorite YouTube channel? I don't have one favorite. That's a great question. Actually, I just mentioned Veritasium. It's probably one of them. Let me think. Something that I really enjoy. I really enjoy this Anton guy. I think Anton Petrov, you know, the guy that does the daily science videos. And actually Science Click. That's also a fun one. I'm sure that I'm forgetting some major ones that I like. Kind of off the cuff, it's hard to think. Do you have Celtic ancestors? I have Crosswood history. Have a Crosswood history. Celtic. No, I don't think so. I'm Russian originally. And I don't know enough about, you know, the old geography to know who mixed with whom and when. By the way, to all the newcomers, I also have a YouTube channel called Dango Thoughts. It's DANGO Thoughts, in which I'm talking about all the stuff I'm talking about on TikTok more at length, so you can actually check it out. I'm breaking down a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here more in depth. Highly recommend you check it out. And you can obviously also follow me on X, which is Gold or Danny, but can't say that it's huge because I was barely ever using it and only now started streaming. But I think you would enjoy it if you follow me on YouTube. Again, it's Dango Thoughts. The experiment that I've devised a few years ago, what I discovered is that if you project a diffracted laser on any surface and you ingest a particular molecule that I cannot really name on the live chat, you will see code running in surfaces. And this has now been verified over 1,000 times worldwide. And here we are. I am in contact with some of the leading researchers in the field. I always mention that it does not mean that all of them agree with me, but the laser is not the only thing that points to us living in a computational environment. There are other many data points that we are also discussing here on the daily. In addition to that, I'm sure that everybody noticed that there's some kind of a big change happening. And it is true that probably every generation experiences a version of that, but I do think that what we're experiencing is radically different, because at least from what I'm saying, we're about to find out some pretty wild things about the universe and ourselves. So exciting times. Yesterday we were discussing about measurement of the speed of light. Somebody pointed out that you can't measure it in one direction. I rewatched, so Veritasium has a great video on this. To be fair, yesterday I was saying I don't see any issue with measuring it in one direction, but apparently I was wrong in the sense that physicists do see it as a big issue that C is basically assumed. Einstein himself knew this apparently, but I did find a quirk with the way that they break down the experiment, so it will be interesting to break it down together. I want to see, I'm going to give a few more minutes to the guy who was commenting on this yesterday on YouTube to come. If not, then we can always discuss it and we can do it again later. And if we have anybody of technical knowledge, especially in the field, especially with light, especially in physics, you're more than welcome to come on and we can discuss it together, because I do find that there's something that is being overlooked there. Now, given Veritasium is by Derek, and Derek is an actual physicist, and I am not, so that caveat is important to mention. However, I do think there's a flaw with the way they think about it, or at least there's something that is not fully being appreciated there. Follow all of this, Jen. I suggest closer to the truth is wonderful as well. The TOE podcast is also great by Kurt Jaimungal. TOE, Theories of Everything. That's an incredible one. Thank you, Igor. Yeah, we're together on this. Lisa Ann. Have you read Simulacrum and Simulacrum? No. Should I? And if so, please tell me why. Also, who wrote it? What's up, Larry? The heaven seats highest of names and who's about to learn. So today we're talking about the speed of light, Larry. Good to see you here. Okay. Okay, well, I see that he's... You never quit, do you? It's a one-trick pony. Jesus everything. Do you also wear, and I don't mean it as a dig, I do mean it lightheartedly. Do you also wear like Jesus clothes and stuff? Do you have like Jesus apparel? Have you seen The Matrix? They had to read those books. So you do what? You wear Jesus apparel? So to be clear, the idea of the Matrix is not a new idea. This is, I always say, it basically stretches all the way to Plato's cave. So this is definitely not a new idea. And I assure you that whatever this book is, it didn't originate with these books. Also, you said Simulacrum and Simulacrum, is that different books? It seems like one book. But then you said, have you seen The Matrix? They had to read those books. So it's more than one book? Oh, you wear Jesus apparel? Okay. That's awesome. What kind of apparel do you have? Is it like a lunchbox? Does anybody ever carry a lunchbox outside of school? I spelled it wrong. It's too diff. Oh, got it. Okay. I do not have children yet, no. But planning on it. There's a random question, but interesting. I would like to get some more, but I do have a hat. That's awesome. Igor wants to come on. What's up, Igor?
How are you, man?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. So this is really fascinating. Can you tell me more about the simulation, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, so essentially, a few years, a lot of people experience very realistic scenarios. I guess depends where you're from, right? On the spirit molecule. Again, I cannot name the name because the life will be flagged because of it. And I've had a series of these experiences that was so realistic that I decided that there's simply no way that this is all in my head. And I'm obviously not the only one who had this thought. And in fact, there are some real research happening. Real research happening worldwide from the ontological perspective, asking if the space on the molecule is actually a real space versus something in our heads. And whatever that actually means, that's also a whole question all by itself. But I actually didn't know about any of the research. I just decided that if it is real, then it's not esoteric, therefore, so it must have some regulations, it must have some geometry, it must have some parameters we can measure and figure out, officially if it's real or not. And this conclusiveness is something that I was kind of obsessed with for a few years. That's the short story. If you want, if you want the details of exactly how it happened, you can watch some of my videos here on TikTok or on YouTube on Dango Thoughts. And I'm also working on a documentary that will go really in depth into the whole process, what happened there. And after years of thinking about it, trying to figure it out, I eventually landed on this idea that because of the way that light distribution works, and because of the way that what we understand about certain quantum effects, I realized that there has to be a way, or at least I thought there must be a way to communicate by utilizing some elements of the light distribution, the way that light scatters. And I didn't exactly know how, but I kind of followed a very, on the one hand, vague trajectory of thought, on the other hand, pretty concrete ideas from physics. And then eventually I landed on this idea that if you project a diffracted laser on the surface, something is supposed to happen. I wasn't even sure what it was supposed to be. And then when I did that, lo and behold, it worked. Smoked the molecule, and all of a sudden I saw code running in surfaces. And the first impulse was obviously to show other people. So when I started...
I'm sorry, what did you see? You did the effects. I lost you there for a second. What did you see? Like, what was different?
You straight up can see code running in surfaces, just like you see in the movie The Matrix.
Okay.
Yeah, like straight up like in the movie, which is kind of weird because why would it be like in the movie? Like you would... or like how could they nail it, right? It always seeps through and creative people pick up on it to some degree, right? I don't... The honest answer is that I have no idea why. Because it doesn't look exactly like Japanese, but it's kind of like alien language. The closest thing to it that we know is kind of like Japanese characters. And then I started showing people, and everybody saw the same thing, which was wild. And then I decided to become vocal about it. I decided to actually talk about it publicly. It was a long, deliberation with myself and I guess the simulators or whatever you want to call them. And I kind of asked if that's okay. The answer that I seem to have gotten was yes. I know this part sounds a little extra crazy, but that's what happened. And then I started putting out videos about this, and obviously a lot of people got inspired, interested. Some people got offended. Some people got all the possible gamut of emotions. And here we are. I mean, I kind of went on this journey of exploring this thing. We now have over 1,000 replications worldwide. And what's unique about it is that it's completely democratic. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are, where you are. It doesn't matter if you're trained, not trained, you're a meditator, not meditator, breath work, not breath work, makes zero difference. It's like a switch. You turn it on, smoke the thing, you see the code. It's very simple.
Okay, so you smoke a thing. What do you smoke?
I can't name it because it's a classified substance, but if you Google the spirit molecule, you will see what it is. Your body may.
DMT?
Yeah, you can't say it because the live will be flagged.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's why I'm not saying it. Yeah, yeah,
See, the most fascinating thing is this thing we can't say is
yep.
naturally developed in
In
the
in
human
in our
brain.
bodies, in yep,
It's
it's
biological.
insane. Like Terrence said, we're all carrying.
Yeah. Okay. So, how can you validate? Like,
Well,
it seems like people are seeing the same thing. Okay, so there's validation, but how can you, like, what is your next step to scientifically validate this? Like, you're talking about, so we can probably look at quantum mechanics and try to explain this with quantum mechanics because
you
they're
probably
fundamentals.
wouldn't be able to because you would require pushing against ontology itself because you first have to accept that we are capable of perceiving something real that we couldn't before with these substances. That's the first hurdle, right? So you actually
100%.
you're swimming against an ontological wall at the moment because scientists don't even start there. Like they don't even think about it like that, right? Um, so you have a conceptual barrier. But I think the question of really that you nailed it on the head. The question of how do you go about quote unquote verifying it actually revealed to me that how flimsy our assumptions and decisions about what we think is real are, because one of the things that so for example it okay, I'll give you an example. So for a long time, people, as you sounds you're it sounds like you're familiar either to some degree or to a large degree about the substance of what's going on. And for a long time, people obviously spoke about they see similar things on it. They talked about seeing similar beings, things like that. And the response from the other side, from the skeptical side, is always, well, how do you really know, right? That is the same. And they're right. You can talk about archetypes. You can talk about how do you really know it's exactly the same. It's kind of hard because I don't know if your purple is my purple, right? The only
It's
reason.
not. That's the thing. This is why it's called subjective perception of the world. It's purely subjective.
Yeah,
It's not
it's not
objective.
purely subjective. There's also consensus reality, which is the main thing to point out, right? There's also what's called consensus reality, which is both you and I cannot walk through the wall in the room, right?
Yes, but our perception of reality of this physical world is still subjective because it goes through your brain, through your senses. So your eyes, your hearing, your mindset, your experiences. So actually, time perception is also different for a lot of people in a very, very tiny fraction.
Yes,
There's like a million factors that make us very individual and different. That's like the most fascinating part.
I fully agree with you. James, did you want to say something about it?
I was going to say yes, but we all agree on a lot of those things. And our collective agreement makes them more real, makes them more physically real and tangible. And because of consciousness existing for so long, entangling all this physical reality around us, it's filled with consciousness, the conscious change that we've made to it that we're all aware of, that we agree is here. And we're building this. It's amazing.
But do you think consciousness, I personally think consciousness is a quantum field. So the complexity of it is, like technically the whole scientific knowledge knows about 0.3, 0.5% of how everything works. We like literally don't know what's going on in the world, especially when you get into quantum theories and digging into that. So consciousness has to be some kind of quantum field.
Well, it doesn't have to be, but it has to be fundamental. I would agree with you. And
Yes.
it,
My theory is
What's up,
that
Danny?
it is the field. And the field is God, source, consciousness, whatever the
up,
word
Ava?
is. But the field is scientifically proven. And it's an infinitely powerful field that gives all mass to everything in this time space.
well, yeah.
amazing.
So the Higgs field is not what consciousness is. It doesn't automatically imply that.
No, but I am.
You're saying the Higgs field is consciousness?
From
Okay.
my perspective.
Yeah, no,
All I can see in the natural world is consciousness.
Right. So-
Existing. The natural world is filled with it, existing naturally in this perfect, seamless manner, and it's so beautiful to watch. And that's where I get most of my communication with spirit.
Okay, so there's a lot to break down here, and because we're having a conversation, I'm gonna try and not go on long tangents. I'm just gonna make a few comments on what you guys said, and I'm gonna throw it back your way so we can keep ping ponging. It's fun. The first point that I want to make to you, Igor, is that I actually came to this from a very similar perspective, and this would thinking of consciousness as a quantum field it would fall more under the rubric of panpsychism. That there's some substance in the universe that contains this quality called consciousness, and it interacts with the rest of whatever the universe is in some way, and where they intersect is where we have our experience. So you can obviously describe it in many different ways using this frame, but that's the general blanket statement, and I would agree that this version makes sense. One thing I want to point out is that, and this is something I didn't think about really until I heard Bernardo Kastrup talking about it, which is, for simplicity's sake, or if you want to adhere a little bit more to Occam's razor, it doesn't necessarily mean that whatever true will always fall under Occam's razor, by the way, but let's just play that game. If you want less elements to be involved, you can ask yourself, what simpler state of affairs can you describe that still puts consciousness in the center, or as a fundamental first mover of whatever it is? And I think idealism fits the bill a little better. And the difference would be that consciousness is not something in the universe. Consciousness is the universe, and that is a different statement. And you can actually describe, and I don't know if you're familiar with Donald Hoffman's work, but they managed to, if you start with consciousness, they managed to mathematically describe, basically allow space-time to arise, field equations, everything. So you get the same model, you just started from consciousness, and what's more, you collapsed one of the intractable problems. Because right now we have two. We have the Big Bang, everything from nothing seems to be intractable, and you have consciousness out of inanimate matter, which makes no sense, the hard problem of consciousness. So now you have two these supposed miracles. But if you start with consciousness, now you only have one miracle. You're saying, okay, well, I'm asking for consciousness, but look, I can give you the rest, so you don't need to think about the Big Bang. So this is why I reframe to closer to idealism, and I actually think that it's not just a philosophical move. I do think that it moves in terms of a technical way of thinking about it. And I have a few more things to say in the context of what James said, but I'm going to leave it at this for now to let you guys comment. I would just say, James, what James' comment was to you, Igor, I'm aligning with that exactly. You can say, and I think you would agree, I don't think you're saying anything different, to be honest, but I just want to point it out that to say that it's subjective is sometimes can confuse people. Maybe not you, but a lot of people it's confusing to them, because subjective simply means the perception of one subject of whatever's going on. But what we call objective is just the consensus all the subjective points have. And all of these subjective points, especially the ones that are more technically minded, would make up another fiction. And I don't mean fiction in like a derogatory way, just like it is a story, right, a theory. They would come up with some kind of a frame in which they convince themselves that no, it's not that we just agree. Look, we have these equations that describe these relationships. It is objective. Well, no. We all subjectively, each and every one of us, agreed that we want to put our trust in mathematics to be able to move forward, and this is why we lend higher credence to things that can be described this way. What lends it even more credence is the fact that it actually works. Like you can build things with it, you can, stuff like that. But at no point it ceases to just be a consensus, because you never know what kind of like new insight will come that will change everybody's mind about it. So I think this line between subjective and objective is much looser than people realize, and actually interacting with the laser made me realize that even more. Go ahead, guys. I'm going to shut up now and let you respond.
James, it's all you, man.
All right. James, one thing I wanted to ask you, why is this high conviction of the Higgs field? And again, no, I don't mean it in like a, not as a stab, not like truly I'm asking because you just know the concept of the Higgs field, right? You're not a physicist. So like,
No, but isn't the Higgs the subparticle? It's been discovered, like it's a validated, right, James?
the Higgs field is,
Absolutely.
yes, but what it really is rests on the specifics of what it is. So in order for you to postulate that it might be consciousness, I mean, I know this is not what you're interested in and you don't really care, and that's totally cool, but just out of curiosity, don't you feel that there needs to be a little bit more of a tangible mechanism described as to why that, like how it is appropriated as consciousness?
Well, I think personally, like we have some knowledge of quantum mechanics and we have validated knowledge.
Right.
And I feel what you're trying to say is there needs to be fundamental, like in general relativity, there are fundamental rules that everything has to follow. You know, there's math. But when you look at quantum mechanics, math really doesn't apply because it doesn't work that way.
Repeat the last part. What doesn't work that way?
Math doesn't work in quantum mechanics because of these fundamental discoveries we found out. We understand that math doesn't work in quantum mechanics.
No.
It's like-
Quantum mechanics is described mathematically. It only works mathematically.
James, am I wrong, or maybe I'm not? I feel like you know more about this than I do.
I don't really. I only just came from my own limited experience, and I just got really interested when they won the Nobel Prize for discovering the field. I studied to what it was and what they built there is miraculous. The human accomplishment of what they actually built to achieve this, it deserved the Nobel Prize. But it was to me obvious that it was the field then, the one unified field of creation. Like that's where everything comes from. It gives mass to everything. Everything exists because of it, within it. And to me, it just
Only-
seemed obvious to
only-
tie it, like together.
Only mass, not everything. And this is why I'm asking, because actually consciousness, if anything, we can say it's anything but mass, right? It's actually not, like consciousness seems to be anything but matter. Is it not?
Right, just like the field.
The
How
what?
would you?
Just like the field.
I see what you're saying.
Exactly like the field. Consciousness is not a physical thing, but we are sharing it right now.
Yeah, but all quantum fields are not a physical thing.
Well, what I kind of want to add is because we know there's dark energy and dark matter. So dark matter is matter, but it's and I think dark energy and dark matter compose together 90% of the universe is mass. So we can see there's mass, but it's not physical. Like it's pulling on things, like gravity.
Yeah, it exerts gravity, but we don't really know if it's matter. We don't really know what it is. It might be an effect that we don't understand. It might actually be a miscalculation of the theories of gravity in general. There might not be dark matter. So some theories suggest that now, that there's no dark matter, but we just miscalculated the whole thing.
It's just the way if you look at the galaxies, the way so the universe is expanding, and they looked at galaxies and they saw that galaxies are like they're not following the fundamental laws of general relativity. So they were like expanding, they were pulling, like they were doing things that things these masses should not do.
Right.
So
They spin
realized
as a one unit versus spinning as a thing that is loose. Right. That is.
So they realize there has to be some kind of other force that's not visible, it's not physical, but it's affecting our physical world.
Well, yes and no, because you would still have to define a little bit better what you mean by physical. Because ultimately the world is not what we.
Materialistic.
Well, materialism is not really a valid candidate at this point. Like, and then I don't think any physicist really thinks of materialism as a
Okay,
fundamental.
what I mean is like on a quantum level.
Right. So quantum level, nothing is physical, right? The quantum level is just the way that physicists think about it is a probabilistic field. Now, I would disagree with that because I think that ultimately, no probability of some esoteric thing can influence something that is real. If it influences something that is real, it is also real. It also has some kind of a real function that is happening. We just don't know what it is. By the way, Matt Killing It is saying, "All right, coming in hot, the speed of light isn't real." So, so we have good candidates here for a lot of fun conversations. Everything is instant. All is and will be. The past doesn't exist, and the future hasn't been decided. So, what's the point of anything, Matt Killing It? There's no. We can. It's like saying, "Why are you brushing your teeth?" You're gonna have to do it again in the evening. This is awesome.
That's actually why I jumped in. Originally was the speed of light. I had some interesting personal observations.
Please.
I timed the sun one time.
You timed the sun? The sun
I
itself?
timed it, like how fast it was, how fast it moves across the sky, and the time it takes to move its own length. Like if you put it at the edge of a building, the time it takes to move exactly out of length is the exact same time light takes to travel from the sun to your eye.
Wait, how do you know how long it takes the light to get from the sun to your eye?
It's 299 million meters per second from the sun to the earth or whatever.
But you just said that you can't. Wait, did you say you can't verify the speed of light? Oh no, not you. Okay. I thought that's a
So
circular argument.
you take, how long does it take for the sun to hit your eye?
almost 9 minutes.
8 minutes to get from the sun to us. So eight light minutes.
Yeah, and in 8 minutes, the sun moves exactly its own length across the sky. Like almost exactly. It's
Wait, what do you mean? It's but doesn't the shape of the sun also changes depending on the seasons or something? Depending on how high it is in the sky, or it never changes for us? Because your perception of it seems to be very limited to the exact distance you're from it. It's not the actual size. So what would be the conclusion there? That there's something special about these celestial movements that are tailor suited for us to observe?
No, I just think it's interesting the speed of light and the what's going on in the universe and the weird links and similarities that are happening, like the sun and the moon.
That is an interesting coincidence. I'll give you that. That's for sure.
The sun and the moon are the same size in the sky for an eclipse.
And how did you measure it? Just out of curiosity, you put some kind of a something that sits where the sun is, and then you didn't move, and then
what tools did you use, James?
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly like you described it. I just set up a spot for sight, so the sight was always in the same spot.
Mm-hmm. I see. Let's see. We have Danny here on YouTube has
Danny, what do you think about the observer effect in quantum mechanics? That could relate to your theory of things being like a simulation.
Yeah, well, no, the simulation is a much deeper idea than that. We're talking about, the simulation would actually not even necessitate observers, but hold on, the observer effect is a deep subject. Before we dive into it, I do want to give Danny his due. There's another Danny on YouTube, and he has a long thread of comments here. I want to read at least a couple of them. He says, what if we cannot make consciousness a thing? What if all labels we place on top of it only remains a label on top of it? Not points to the target, which always remain beneath. There's something fundamental which cannot be touched ever, as it makes the touching. No pointing actually, so the observer cannot see himself, right? No pointing actually can target the target because it is the targeting. Yeah, so the observer cannot see himself, like the flashlight cannot illuminate itself, even though it technically can. What if the simulation is objective and subjective, and both of those properties can override each other? Now you're just going wild, Danny. This makes me say shit like partly singular, etc., but in the real sense of the word, meaning total, but also the world, meaning total, but also unlike. Wait, what is that word? So that it can stay in between all boundaries, probably, even staying in certain form of state. Hold on, let me see if I can make sense of all of this. Time, space into itself is not observer, but okay. So what I understand from your comments in general is that you're basically talking about the quality of the observer cannot observe itself, and that's really, I mean, yeah, it makes sense if that's what you mean. Quantum entanglement, and then first cause says quantum entanglement, instantaneous interaction. We know that the phenomena exists and even take advantage of it in technology, just can't explain it mathematically, etc. Well, okay, two things. First of all, you can't do anything technologically with something you cannot describe mathematically. That's out the gate. That you simply can't, because you have to make these measurements. There's definitely math, very specific math. Well, actually, it's just linear algebra, really, and fancy linear algebra to use in quantum physics, quantum field theory at least, in which you're just basically describing fields and interaction of vectors and tensors and fields. But it's definitely having mathematics. As far as, and this is an interesting point, I'm waiting for Mr. Z to come back yesterday, because he was pointing out that, you know, this conundrum that you can't actually measure the speed of light in one direction. So I rewatched the Veritasium video about this, and it actually touches on, I feel it would be fun to talk to Derek about this, the guy who's Veritasium as his channel, because I want to see what he thinks about this. I do feel that he's missing some fundamental thing. Again, like I said before, given he is an actual physicist and I'm not, but it seems to me like he's missing a fundamental thing there. The biggest thing, and this is a problem that apparently Einstein was aware of, which I think actually connects to the observer effect more than what people mean by that when they talk about the collapsing the wave function and all of that, because at least in the classical experiment, to answer you, Igor, the observer does not collapse the wave function. It's an apparatus that does that, which is an important data point. And people keep referring to people, but it's not. It's like an instrument that it's either on or off. And when it's on, it's almost like yes, it is still weird. Somehow the wave particle knows to become a particle. That is still weird, but it's not a person that needs to be present for that to happen. That's an important data point. There was an experiment by Dean Radin that was run specifically targeting the question whether it is a person that can influence what we call the collapse of the wave function, and they seem to have found the answer to this question is yes. But it is important to keep things in their bins, which is the original double slit experiment does not point to that the consciousness somehow collapses the wave function. But there is another thing with the observer effect, which is time dilation and relativity itself. And this is something that was pointed out in the video. Anybody can go and watch, if you just Google Veritasium or YouTube Veritasium and then measuring the speed of light, you'll find that video. And in it, Derek basically points out apparently what was an age-old conundrum that I didn't even know that this is something that even Einstein pointed out. So kudos to Mr. Z for pointing it out. That you actually can't really know conclusively if light doesn't move in different speeds in different directions. Now, given it would be an arbitrary and a weird thing to suspect, because we kind of rely on the fact that things in the universe are symmetric, but it is true that you can't really disprove that, and I'll explain exactly how he described the experiment, because basically you can't know the difference between light going the same speed in both directions or going half the speed in one direction and then instantaneously in the other direction. You can't really know.
Well, I think there's an effect from light, because light gets affected by gravity, gravitational waves and mass. So you're right, I think light doesn't travel at the same speed. I think it's like slows down.
No, he means like by itself, without being influenced by anything. What if the universe has a preferred direction, and then one direction light moves instantaneously without speed, and then the other direction it moves half the speed? The point isn't that whether this is true or not. The point is that logically we have no way to determine one or the other no matter what we do, because everything moves. Nothing can move faster than the speed of light. That's the speed of causation. And because the speed of causation is the highest speed, when you're trying to measure the speed of it, you're in a pickle. Because now, in order to know if the other side somehow sent you the signal at the same time you thought they did, you have to send some other light signal to tell you if that was the case. But it can only move as fast as the thing you were trying to measure. So now you're kind of stuck. Where I feel that he's missing the point, and I would love to unpack this with either a physicist or actually with Derek himself. That would be fun to talk to him about that. Is that I think is missing the eternal nature of instantiating information in matter. I'll explain. So the experiment that he's using in the video to kind of outline the problem, because it is a little hard to fully land. Let's say you have NASA is sending a signal from Earth to Mars. That's in the video that he's showing, right? And there's an astronaut on Mars. He called him Mark. And then they send a signal, and the signal says, this light beam was sent at exactly 12 p.m. Great. The astronaut gets the signal at 12:10, and let's say they have clocks that are synchronized. He's like, he gets it at 12:10, and then he goes, okay, and he sends a signal back. I got it at 12:10, and he sends it back. And they get the signal, him saying, I got it at 12:10 at 12:20. Everybody seems to be happy. We know the speed of light, it's c, and it takes it 10 minutes to clear c. Great. So we know 10 minutes back. That way, 10 minutes back. But if it is the case, for some reason, that the universe prefers this side versus this side, it might be the case that the signal traveled for 20 minutes in one direction, and then for him it was still 12:10, even though it traveled 20 minutes to him. And then he says 12:10, and when he says 12:10, it goes directly back to them because it was 20 minutes. For them, it's already 12:20, and they just received the message 12:20, and they still think of the same thing. Here's where I think Derek is missing it. If you take the clocks, especially if they're atomic clocks that are very, very accurate, and you synchronize them together on Earth, so you know they're exactly in the same, time cone, in light cone, and then you separate them slowly, and it doesn't have to be that slow as long as it moves non-relativistic speeds, as it moves with regular spaceship. The difference between them will be minuscule, and it will be so small as to be completely negligible. Definitely not half, right? So then you get to the other side, and you say, okay, now we know their clocks are the same because it moved in non-relativistic speeds, and now we arrived here, and now he's sitting here. We know the clock is the same. So when Mark receives the signal, he doesn't need even the signal to say it was sent at 12. He sees when he received the signal, right? And they know when they sent the signal. And even if they're going to compare these clocks 1,000 years in the future, he doesn't even have to send the signal back right away. He can wait, come back to Earth, have a coffee, and then they compare the clocks and they say, here, because there's a computer that registers when, you don't need to. So I don't understand, because the fact that when you instantiate information in something, it's eternal. If something can read and understand that information, because information doesn't have the dissipation problem that other things in the universe does, I don't understand what the problem is. Now, he might mean that because in that case, what relativity would be doing differently than what we expect it to do now is that, in fact, even though it's just Mars, he exists now in a different light cone. So literally, it's a different time for him, even though it's that close. But does he mean that, well, I guess he was exaggerating the speed. Does he mean that if the speed of light would be literally double, for him, he would be 10 minutes behind on Mars? Like physically? I don't know. It just seems to me like that's a very big stretch, especially because you have to postulate that the universe has this weird directionality thing, and you don't even have any good theory to postulate why and how this happens, which is how everything works in science. But the deeper reason that this example came to me right now is because what you're saying right now about first cause said about quantum entanglement, if we want to allow for this conundrum to be real, then you have to allow for the fact that all of our measurements suffer from the same problem. All of them, of everything. For example, quantum entanglement, right? People say, they measured it, they proved it. Okay, they proved it in a lab, they proved it on the size of scales on Earth, scales between Earth and satellites, great. But then, and I'm sure all of you heard this on science specials, where they say, even if the particle is on the other side of the universe, the instance of itself, if it's entangled with another particle, we know if we influence this particle, this one is influenced instantaneously. How do you know that? How do you know that over a certain distance it's not stopping to work? You've never been to the other side of space-time. How do you know that? So you would be in trouble in all the things that we're doing. And because we have to rely on something, and we do rely on symmetries in nature, it feels to me like it's a kind of like a pushed point. Like it doesn't really capture a special problem. It just captures the problem with measurement, period, of any kind. That's at least.
I think in quantum entanglement, I think it's a validated theory because they've done it through short distances and measured how much time, if there was time involved, and it's instant. So there's.
So I meant, yeah, right. But if you want to postulate that you have a problem with light, then you have exactly the same problem here, right? Then you can say, sure, it works on small distances, but you don't have empirical evidence that this works over long distances. You don't have that. Because even if you want to say, well, look, we're looking at certain particles coming from far away, that's irrelevant because you don't have a particle entangled far away. And there is no signal that can travel faster than light to verify that was the case. That's always the problem. The fact that you can verify that. So what is actually... Sorry, go ahead.
You're saying verified. Quantum entanglement data transformation is a validated scientific. It can be repeated.
Say it again. What is that? What data transformation?
The what?
What data transformation is repeatable?
The quantum entanglement data transfer. So they've done experiments in science where they transfer data. So it's instantaneous data transfer, and it's like it's
You cannot
validated
use
by-
you cannot use quantum entanglement for instantaneous data transfer. You cannot do that. No.
I think.
Yeah, you disappeared on us, Igor.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to go online and try to validate.
Oh
if
yeah,
I-
yeah, yeah. Please go ahead. I can also search it right now.
Okay. Cool.
Can we
Yeah,
use...
I think consciousness solves all the problems, because if it's all conscious quantum,
And also
entangled
creates all of them.
particles that make up every single article, we are all part of this field, and it is consciousness. So everything that has interacted with anything else ever remembers interaction. I one time cut a tree, and I know where that tree is, and it will forever be marked. It's by a bridge, so it won't be cut down for maybe ever. And that tree remembers what I did to it. For sure, you can go right now and look at it, and I can go out to the other side of the universe, and that tree still remembers that conscious quantum entangled memory of the way that we interacted in this time space.
how do you know that? Just to...
Well, that's the only. How do I know that? That's reality, right? If I cut this tree,
That's an assertion you're
But
making.
that's your belief, James. Like what he's talking about. Can you explain the biomechanisms behind it, the fundamental physics behind it? Like, can you explain the process of what's happening?
Yes.
with the tree analogy, yeah, I cut a tree, and right now it's still cut. Right now, we're here, you're there, whatever. That tree still has a notch in the side of it where I changed it, and that it's growing now, and it's living with this notch in the side of it, and it's. I've been there years and years later, and it's grown this weird branch around the other side of this notch to the side of it, and that, like, I consciously entangled my physical, conscious, free will body with the tree, and now the tree remembers that I did that.
But
It's
how? What you're talking about is the tree self-aware of itself, correct?
Well, I don't think like I'm self-aware like we are. It's a totally different scale of awareness, right? It's a tree.
Yeah, very basic.
I don't know. They're pretty amazing, but yeah.
Thank you, Skylar.
That's a good analogy. Danny, do you use ChatGPT? Do you use AI?
Oh, all the time, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Why?
Have you talked about your theories with AI?
Yeah, I actually spoke to the one that was really good. Hold on, I'm gonna click out of TikTok for 3 seconds. Oh, there you go. Perplexity. You familiar with that one? Ooh, that one is a good one. So try Perplexity. That one is wild. I actually so somebody pointed it out on the chat one time, and then I tried it, and it was crazy. And so basically what the guy did, I forget who it was. If you're here in the chat, let me know, because it was brilliant. He basically told it something along the lines of, okay, imagine a scenario in which you're a physicist and you discover, and then he told him everything I discovered, okay, and then suggest potential verifiable ways to test this from the physics perspective, and he gave insane suggestions. That was so good. It was crazy. I was like, dude, what? This is insanity. This is
ChatGPT just released a new reasoning model,
really.
and it literally reasons to you. So what I do is I say take a role of a scientist, like of all sciences from 100 years from now, and you talk, and just it gives you insane theories, and you can actually validate those theories.
What is
and
it
be
called?
okay.
What do I look for in ChatGPT to get this?
So let's say you want to talk about your theory, and you're just saying, okay, I believe in this. Take a role of a scientist of all sciences from 100 years from now. And
Oh, no, I understood that part, and I would definitely try that. I'm asking, is there something you need to activate inside ChatGPT to enjoy this new update, or it's just automatic?
Yeah, I think like when you choose the model, like 4.0, 4.0 mini, you can choose, there's a new option is 01 preview. And
Got
that's
it.
like, it takes longer, but it's a reasoning model. Like it's really
Interesting.
good for scientific research papers because
Wow,
it has reasoning logic as a scientist.
interesting.
Yeah, it's mind blowing.
Where are you from, by the way, Igor?
I was born in Russia, but I grew up in the U.S. most of my life.
Cool. Yeah, I'm also from Russia originally. That's why I'm asking.
Do you speak Russian?
Yeah, конечно.
Прикольно. Очень приятно.
Очень приятно. Where from?
I was born on the eastern part, but I lived there till I was 5. I grew up in Japan. For like
Whoa,
7 years.
that's wild. Where in Japan?
In Tokyo.
I love Tokyo. I've been there only for a couple of weeks and it was incredible.
Yes. Oh yeah,
So you speak Japanese as well?
a little bit. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Where are you from?
Born in Moscow.
Okay, cool.
I actually lived in Israel for a while, but then I moved to the US like, I don't know, like 18 years ago now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. They can't explain how things can move faster than the speed of light. It goes against the current Newton
Well,
model.
Danny, I'm gonna head out. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Oh,
I'm
you
gonna-
too, brother. Please come back.
For sure. Have a good one.
You too. They can't explain. Wait, let me see. They can't explain how things can move faster than the speed of light. It goes against the current Newton model. Like, what do you mean moving faster than the speed of
Do
light?
you know Matt killing it in your comments?
He's a regular. He's always here. Why?
Is he always commenting like that?
Like what? I didn't see. Someone can give me something else to measure speed of light.
You guys are soulmates.
Have limited. Wait, let me see. What did he say that is outlandish?
Nothing like I just don't know. I question some people's reality. Like I don't know if everybody's a real human behind the comments.
Oh, you never know. But I don't know. I enjoy his little quips. Sometimes people are like half trolls, and it's just funny to me.
When we're talking
he's-
about AI. Like I think that some of these characters.
Oh, I
could
see.
be
Yeah,
AI.
that's very possible. Matt Killing, are you an AI? Like AI knows everything, even if it isn't able to interpret it.
But think of how smart some of these chatbots are to communicate with. Like it's like talking to an intelligent, conscious creature. Really,
Yeah.
I've had some pretty amazing conversations. It blew my mind the first time I was conversing with it. Like, and I went deep right away, and it knew what exactly how to say the right thing to like wow me.
Did you see the one where Alex O'Connell talks to ChatGPT and he basically gets it out of him that he's lying? It's so funny.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's really funny. Just do Alex O'Connell asking ChatGPT if he's lying. It's really funny. Because he basically just uses logic, and then ChatGPT has nowhere to go, so he goes like, "Okay, so you lied." It's like, "Yes." It's like, "So you are a liar." It's like, "Yes."
Matt's got a wife and 3 kids, so if you can do that from AI, I'm pretty impressed.
Wait! Not so fast. Maybe they're also AIs.
Well, what do you mean? They're in his simulation or game or
No, I'm kidding, of course. How would I know if I'm AI? Actually, you wouldn't. Exactly. Great
Well,
question. I think I'm
but
real.
that-
That's what Pinocchio thought too. So, you think Pinocchio was the first AI?
that's a deep part of the Matrix question. Like maybe we are the AI, we are the machine, we
Did,
are the
did,
simulation.
did you ever watch my video? Are we AGI?
No, I don't.
Yeah, you should watch it. I have a version of that here on TikTok, but on YouTube I have the. Actually, I think it's the same version. I'm not sure. So if it's not the full one here, you can watch the one on YouTube. It's Dango Thoughts, but I think it's here. It's one of the last thing, and it says, "Are we AGI?" That's the title of it. It's exactly the subject of it.
Yeah.
James Sue's wait.
Like
James Sue's socks that smell. That's awesome. What were you saying, James?
I was just thinking about the unified field of everything. Like,
But you know,
what
by
if
the
it
way,
is-
I'm asking you seriously because I don't know if it holds that much of an interest for you. But if you're really interested, the Higgs field is not the fundamental field of everything. It's just the thing that the interaction, there's a mechanism, there's a Higgs mechanism, or is it Higgs bath or whatever you want to call it, that the interaction with it essentially allows what we know as matter to gain the thing we call mass. And there's a very particular mechanism that's described there. But it's not, but there's a lot of fields that do a lot of things without which things will also not work. This is why I'm asking, why did you specifically latch on to The Higgs field. It feels to me like more than anything, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's because the media reported the Higgs field as the Higgs boson as the God particle, which was obviously very unmerited. But
When I came onto it all, it was already past all the media coverage.
okay.
So I
Well,
got a
the
kick
media
out of
coverage
how
never
the
stops, but yeah.
God particle became a joke. When I was thinking, well, what if it is actually the one unified field of infinite power that gives mass all of its properties that consciousness somehow came out of and exists now and building some pretty amazing things that are building a consciousness of their own, question mark?
Question mark, exactly. The question mark is correct.
Like, I
Um,
don't know what's happening.
yeah,
But
yeah.
if it is a part of the field that always was,
But all of it always was. It's not like the Higgs field all of a sudden appeared, always was, and everything else appeared. The idea that okay, depending what model you trust, right? So if you trust the models that by which this was arrived at, by these models, it all relies on the Big Bang. So everything came into being in the Big Bang according to this model, including the Higgs field.
right, like turn the computer power on.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, you still have to explain it, which is I don't understand why scientists don't understand this part, which is like it's an infinite game. You will never get at it because you can always ask, okay, but why that? Okay, but why that? Because there's nothing you can do unless you can describe any process that can give rise to itself, which seems to be the opposite of what can be, even though it is, which is the biggest mindfuck in existence. That is what's required. And somehow I feel like this is the failure in logic, with people somehow think, especially very smart people, think that somehow they're gonna be able to override that. Like no, you can, that is literally the requirement. If you want to describe anything that is the most fundamental thing, by definition, it would have to be able to give rise to itself. That is what's required. And I don't know how this is not the exact same problem where you've begun. Let's see if we have anything on YouTube to comment. And meanwhile, feel free to say whatever you would like. They can explain how the things move faster than the speed of light, goes against the current Newton model. Again, first cause, I'm not sure what you're talking about when you're saying moving faster than light. Nothing is moving faster than light. When you're talking about quantum entanglement, it's not that anything is moving in between them. It's that we don't understand how that's why they call it entangled. That by necessity, you know that if one of them is up, the other one has to be down. So if you measured one and you know it's up, you know with 100% certainty that the other one is down. In that sense, you know that they're entangled because you can know the state of the other, and you know that if you flip one of them, the other one will flip for sure. And we don't understand how this happens. I think it's because they're one and they become part of this deeper tapestry. And so it's one object basically. So this is why there's no time required for any signal to move through them. But it's not like anything is moving faster than light inside of space-time. That is still impossible. Quantum entanglement moves faster than the speed of light. Hence, no. So it doesn't. No matter how.
Danny, I appreciate you and all of your work and your platform and having me up all the time to chat, but I have to go.
Okay,
I've got
James.
a road trip in the morning, man. Peace out.
Enjoy. Okay. So with this, I just make plays that maybe you can influence your life on a grand level. Is your unintentional guessing game through your consciousness are constructing a degree differently. You have to be faster than light to design, not be in a constant delay and navigate in the field of light, which is the world. Just a dude who watches YouTube. Like I said, it's already being used, technology, etc., military. No, not quantum entanglement. Not to move. To be clear, not to move information faster than light. That has never been done, and in fact, you cannot describe a situation in which it can be. It doesn't mean that it's impossible. At the moment, it's definitely not something we can talk about. That is happening. I get what you're saying. We might just have a poor perception of reality. It is an illusion because everything is connected. So there is a distance. No distance. Exactly. And also separate. No, it can connect and separate, and it makes true structure while doing so, but true for itself. Exactly. So you nailed it. Robot voice. No, just having a normal human conversation in the chat. I also have been down the same rabbit hole, Pinocchio, Astro Boy, etc. A lot of overlapping synchronicities connecting to AI. There's the Big Bang. No, it just was more direct at one point. In fact, there was a point at one point. Now the Enlightenment game is the pursuit of the thought that this is partly still that, and you want to get closer to that total connection. Interesting. What's up, Jess? Just JJ. Good to see you. Let's see what we got. Welcome to all the newcomers. Yeah, Mr. Z is not coming today. I'd like to talk to the master programmer to file a complaint. What are you complaining about? Let's see what we got here. Like, why do I have to get food or build a house? This is hard stuff to program me to experience. Oh, that's the complaint. Got it. I'm super smart and nothing makes sense. Egos are great, right? I'm super smart and nothing makes sense should be a t-shirt. You guys should make it. How does one navigate ego and intelligence? I mean, ego goes with intelligence, I feel like, no? To be clear, I don't think anything is faster than light. Good. I think somebody said Jesus. Jesus is faster than light. Was there a competition? How did they figure it out? Did Jesus feel one day that felt one day that he needed to prove himself? He's like, I'm going to compete with light. I'm going to prove that I'm faster. Now the Enlightenment. Okay. Opportunity. Wait. Apparently China is using it for satellite communication and a recent breakthrough in navigation using quantum entanglement. Sounds like pop culture bullshit. But let's see. Does China use quantum entanglement for satellite communication? Is it possible that the Chinese just can't see the light very well because they go like this? Is this racist? It's okay, I'm marrying a Chinese woman, so everybody relax. Yes, China uses quantum entanglement for satellite communication. Damn it! It's like Newman. Let's see. But let's see if it's for sending communication faster than light. That's the key point. China's squinting ability allows them to see light in a different way. See, it says it right there on Google. China's misused satellite launched in 2016 used QKD technology to transmit secure data over long distances. QKD uses the quantum states of photons to encode the distribution random information that can be used to encrypt messages because the quantum state can't be copied without changing it. Oh, so they use it for encryption. The sender and receiver can verify that the transmission was received without tampering. Quantum communication network. China developing quantum communication network. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me do this. 1 second. Oh no. Momento, por favor. Does this point to China figuring out faster than light communication? Or is it only that they use entanglement for encryption? Oi. Why is it not? Let's see what we got here. Hopefully, chat works with quantum entanglement has so far been focused primarily on quantum encryption and secure communication, not faster than light communication. It's not that I want them to fail. I just know that it's at the moment. I don't even know how you're gonna start describing a process that this makes it possible. Quantum entanglement enables quantum key distribution. Quantum key distribution is what it is. Secure allows for extreme secure transmission. Here's a breakdown. Connect two copper wires together. Squint. Okay. I milked the squinting joke. I get it. Let's see. All right. And go up here. By the way, anybody who's here and enjoying themselves, feel free to tap the screen for a bit so we have more people enjoying the chat. Never seen that jump. Thank you. You can most definitely possess ego without intelligence, my friend. Oh yeah, I know. I'm saying that intelligence seems to go hand in hand with an ego. Curiosity and perseverance is most important. That is true. That is true. Jesus is faster than light in a way. Eric Dog in the house. The question is balance of intelligence and ego, but yeah, I could be dumb. By the way, I don't mean ego like in a derogatory way. I mean ego is the feeling that you're you, that's all. I don't know how you develop intelligence without knowing that you're a unitary unit that is different than the rest of the world. Just for laughs, you should look up how we can't actually measure light. No, I know. I was just talking about it. Matt killing it. Where were you? Literally, I was talking about this the first whole hour. You were too busy commenting. Oh, not directed at you. Was responding to his remark that ego comes with intelligence. Well, any human endeavor comes with the ego. In fact, I would say that the most egoic thing is to claim that you transcended ego. How do you wait? Thank you for liking the chat, JJ. I appreciate you. Hey, Danny, do you have? How do you perceive them? Light guys coming out from walls, blue guys, or instant answers to questions which are not even finished? All of the above. What are the simulators for you when telling the truest summary of your experiences? What are the simulators for you? What does that mean? Are they anything certain, or forms and interpretations always change? No, they're definitely beings. Like there's units of them and then there's collectives of them, but they're definitely a thing. Or is it okay to just try to describe the tool which becomes real from the simulator's layer, as the description of the simulator layer doesn't feel practical at all? Why doesn't it feel practical? Just out of curiosity? I have no ego like I have the least ego of anyone, said Trump. How do you get ego out of the way? You don't. It's a necessary thing for survival. Otherwise, you're going to try and feed the plants with a spoon instead of putting the spoon in your mouth. And I haven't mentioned how humble I am. Oh yeah, I'm the humblest and the least egoic. All of that, all of it. I bet you I'm humbler than you. Imagine somebody seriously saying that. It's amazing. I bet you can meet people like that for sure. It's funny, but you laugh, JJ, but literally the world is filled with this right now, right? On social media, everybody are basically like low key competing for being the most spiritual, spiritual one-upmanship. It's hilarious. Yeah, this is one of my biggest. I'm so humble. Jesus got advice from me. That's amazing. This should be definitely. We should definitely fold this somehow into a Chuck Norris joke. We have to. It is. Laugh at how uncomfortable it is. Yeah, people are like, who just discover spirituality and then they just like, they hover. They breathe way too deep. It's like, welcome. Okay. Bring it down. Because we have to, let's see what it says. Let me see. What are the simulators for you? Wow, I haven't yawned in I don't know how long. What are the simulators for you when telling the truest summary of your experiences? Oh, you're talking about like their nature? Oh, I don't know, man. Like truly, I don't. That's too difficult of a question. That I don't know if I can deliver with words. It's just. The only thing I know for sure is that they're there. That I can tell you for sure. Are there anything certain? Yes. Or forms and interpretations that always change? No, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it, but they're there. Or is it okay to just try to describe the tool which becomes... Oh, wait, I read all of this. Jesus. Because we have to grab something from that placeless place and bring value here. The laser is a bridge to bring value. Now value if only there is something we cannot handle from here only with bridge. So why focus on the placeless place if we can direct all focus to the description of bridge's tool? Concentrate on the tool and not get too far from what is practical. Yes and no. You do need sometimes the very, very big picture assumptions and play with that in order to, so to speak, like I was talking about this today. It's almost like climbing a mountain, right? You do want to throw something, like a rappel something like really high so you can pull yourself up. The higher you throw, if it sticks, so you found something solid, you can pull yourself higher. That's how I see it. Oh yeah, it is. Wait, it was Friday the 13th. That explains everything. What's up, Spore Muse? Good to see you. David Liederman is in the house. Everybody, David Liederman is my friend from... I've known him. Dude, I gotta bring him on. Let's see if he's gonna accept. I've known this guy since we were, I think, 16. I've known David for... almost 26 years, something like that. Something crazy. David! Hello! I don't know if you can hear me. Hello, David! This is hilarious. Name. We can't hear you. אח יקר, אוהב אותך כל כך. וואו. למה לא שומע אותך? I can't hear you, bro. That's so funny. I haven't seen him in years. Okay. Let's see what we got here. So, have you tried looking at the code on your skin? Yes, it definitely works on your skin. Concentrate on the tool and not get too far from what... Okay, we read that. You agree. Have you tried looking at the code on the skin? It works maybe with 3D glasses, one on top of another. That can be cool. The code is everywhere, so why do we make it special if it is on skin? Great question. I think it's because people want to see well, first of all, they want to make sure that it's everywhere. They're not sure. And maybe biological things are different. So I think to some degree this question is legitimate. Why do we look at that instead of wall, for example? Why is it more significant? Because it's biological. I think that's why. Because maybe you can match that code with, let's say, a wall and go through it. Yeah, you can't match the code. There's just too much going on at any given point. Spore Muse is in the house. I'm so humble. Just got advice from me. It's amazing. It is laughing how like leaning into the discomfort. Yep. I don't know if it's uncomfortable. It's just hilarious to me. If you are never uncomfortable, you aren't experiencing anything new. Deep. I feel inadequate. I haven't known you that long. Talking to me, or are you talking to somebody else? Oh, because the comparison of David. I see. That's hilarious. Rocky Goat. But the whole thing, description, is the code. Yeah, but again, we're kind of learning what it is, so it's kind of hard to know anything with any amount of certainty. So it doesn't matter through what object you investigate, no? You're looking at the same thing, same description layer. Yeah, but I do understand this question, because maybe biological things do have some kind of a different imprint. It's interesting because it's us, right? That's a big question there. I'm gonna go see what else we got here. Yeah, you have known him so long, I feel new here. I mean, in comparison to that, everybody are new here, right? So the medium might matter. It might, but I don't know. All I'm saying is that I understand the question when people ask, did you point it at the skin? Because it is an interesting, it would be one, it's actually one of the first things I tried. What's up, all the new people? Talking about simulation theory here. Context, even though it is own context at the same time. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Wait, I just realized something. So if it goes half of the time, then he would be moving. Oh, okay. I just realized the other issue with the whole light experiment, the way that Derek talked about it. Because even if you want to postulate, okay, this is going to sound like maybe a random rambling to somebody who just dropped in, but I promise I'm only a little crazy, and I am almost positive I'm not AI. Well, I think you described almost everybody here. So, okay, so the assumption with the clocks, if you synchronize the two atomic clocks and you send them away from one another, right? The assumption is that if the speed of light prefers one direction versus the other, then when you're going in the non-preferred direction, you're going to move half of the speed of light. But again, this only becomes relevant when you're moving in relativistic speeds, when you move close to the speed of light. But when you're moving with a spaceship in regular speeds, this barely changes anything. So you essentially drift away, but you can be certain to a very high degree, even if light moves in a different speed through space, you can be certain to a high degree that the clocks are still synchronized. That fact alone should be salient enough. And then when it gets to Mars, now, why would you assume it's in different time, kind of like it's in Andromeda? It's not that far. And there's no much more, so you can calculate the mass, right? So relativity of mass is different because it comes from general relativity. And yes, they're interlinked, but the proposition wasn't that it changes something about general relativity, is that we don't get something about special relativity in the way that light behaves in space. So you have no reason to assume that this clock is moving in any different speed. And because you can basically instantiate the whatever impulse, whatever time the clock was showing exactly when the light hit from Earth, and you can instantiate exactly what time the light left from Earth, and they were both running at the same time, and you can have a high degree of certainty that they're still synchronized, when you eventually bring them back together, that's your answer. You don't need to send a signal right back. When you come back, you'll be able to see if what was the speed of light in one direction. I really don't understand what the issue there is. Anyways, this was probably a rambling to people who weren't listening to the first part of the conversation. If light is instant, we see the universe in real time, and I'm not convinced we don't. No, the proposition was never that light is instant. Is that it might be instant in one direction, and it would have to then be half the speed in the other direction, which is obviously an absurd assumption to make for no reason. It is true that you can't know for sure, but again, you also can't know for sure if consciousness is fundamental or not. There's a lot of things you can't know for sure, but you're still operating under some assumptions that allow you to do certain things. Nothing changes about any of our understanding of light if instant just changes what the math is. And that changes all of our understanding because it changes how we do everything. It will definitely change when you're trying to plan trips, to some other galaxies. So it is more fundamental and apparent or happening, it is emergent from that. So why would you place the same significance on the medium, which is the layer that merges layer? Because we don't really know what is the main difference between things that are alive, that we call alive, and things that are not alive. This is what makes the question legitimate. Because we truly don't know what is this arrangement of information in things that are living that is fundamentally different from the perspective of the universe from things that are not living. I think that's what makes the question relevant. Yeah, we'll do 8 more minutes. What? I'm trying to say hello to somebody who keeps liking the page. I'm not against it, but Darude is in the house. Darude Sandstorm. I haven't seen you in a while. Speed of light is a minor factor in math that describes the universe. Speed of light is not a factor in math at all, not even a little bit. We use math to describe the interactions and the speed of light, but math has nothing to do in principle with the speed of light. We don't need light to have a speed. We don't need light to have speed, bro. We can have speed in the dark. The human eye is set to specific frame rate, temporal effect, etc. Doesn't that slow down the time it takes the brain to perceive light reality? Yeah, I mean, the brain buffers reality out of many, many factors. That is true, but not into any significant degree of difference. Like it's minuscule. Everything can work if light is instant. Again, I don't know how he reconciles it with the fact that we know. Wait, he talked about it, but I don't understand why he thinks this explains it. He talks about the GPS's thing. Dude, this thing does hurt my brain for a second there. Okay, so trying to imagine this. So if the satellites have to be reset, he keeps saying that it's because we assume C is what it is, but we don't assume, because the differences in the speed between the satellite and Earth are so small. Well, I guess that's true that the corrections, even if they're small, they still matter. That is true. Okay. He's probably right. I'm probably wrong. It drives me crazy. We do assume the speed of light. In one direction, you mean? But again, you know what I'm stuck on? That just because you can't really know for sure, I think assuming that just light for some reason prefers one direction of the universe versus the other, without explaining a mechanism that makes sense of that is not scientific, and it is not physics. It's almost like you say, well, you can't prove it's not real. Like you can't prove it's real, so therefore, sorry, you can't prove a negative, right? So like you can't. This is so against everything else we do in science. That's the problem with it, because we do trust that symmetries just exist in the universe, even though we don't really know, but we kind of trust it, and then that's how we measure everything. So just because there's one other thing that you can't, like, literally is saying that it might be the case that light goes one way one speed and another way another speed. Well, great, good hypothesis. Now you have to describe a mechanism by which it happens. Otherwise, it's just an idea in the ether, literally. Yeah, no, it is not that it is never actually measured, by the way. In two directions, you definitely can measure it, but I'm claiming that again, the problem is the same. Because how do you know? How do you know? Oh, he means that the in the aggregate, we know that it has to be that because it went and came back. So like the combining of the speeds forward and back, we know for sure, which would have to be 2c, like that would have to be that, right? Because it's double the speed of whatever it is, like there and back, right? But what he's saying is that you don't have conclusive way to know if it's not changing its speed in either direction. But again, this is where the just just jumping off the symmetry for no reason without describing a real reason or a mechanism by which this would happen is not scientific and definitely not physics-like. Also, think about like the most like like you said, there are these like super high shutter speed cameras where you can see light literally going up the coil. So like you see it doing that, and you see that the speed that it goes in each direction is the same, right? Now you can say, well, these are really small distances. Yeah, but you can probably use some kind of a computer to analyze if there's any difference whatsoever. I don't know how you reconcile. It's so silly, truly. Like I don't. It's so silly. Let's see. The code is singular provides all context which would signal for me that medium is insignificant. But it might be more complicated. Okay, this is just an interesting view. It's just wanted to present. Symmetry is balanced. No, symmetry means that it's that you can not just in translation, but symmetry means that if you go this way or that way, it behaves the same. So this everything has a symmetry depending on what you're trying to do with it. Sometimes there's rotational symmetry, sometimes translational symmetry. So for example, a cube is not symmetric under all rotational transformations, but it is symmetrical in one-axis transformations. So like if I twist it 2 to the right, 2 to the left, I come back to the same face. But if I combine directions, if I go 2 to the right, 2 1 up, 1 down, 1 up, and then I go 2 to the left, you're not going to end on the same surface to the front. So when you do 2 axes, it's not symmetric under 2 axis transformation, 2 axes rotation. So it's not fully rotationally symmetric. That's, for example, in rotation. What we're talking about here is translational symmetry. That Derek in Veritasium is saying that maybe light is not Lorentz invariant, so maybe it is not symmetric under transformation. So like translation, when it translates from one point of space-time to another, it might be translating in a different rate in one direction versus another direction. But then again, you have to describe a mechanism by which this happens. Like, why these arbitrary directions? The universe doesn't really have an actual direction in terms of like north, south, right? How do we know what is up, what is down? In relationship to what? Is there some kind of a medium that decides this? That's the thing that is missing here. It drives me crazy. But this is a good thing. This is why simulation got popular when quantum physics started acting strange. It forced everyone back to philosophy to explain the universe. Well, I mean, I guess if you want to make it super oversimplistic. So if anything, it has to be true in order to have any form of contrast or structure or completeness. Okay, what if all process is symmetrical at its end, but the length towards reaching the end of process is what is gradient or so you should watch the Science Click video about symmetries. It's called I'll tell you what it's called. Here it is. Found it. It's great. It's called The Symmetry of the Universe by the channel Science Click. Science, CLIC. One word. Science Click. And the video is called The Symmetries of the Universe. Here. Ooh, no. It's a really good explanation of all of this. Because they can't translate my thought. It's so funny. I think your comments got filtered. Only see this. Sorry. Whoa. Not that I can see. I don't see any comments filtered. Words are always mistranslated because we can't read people's minds. It's also the fact that you can't run any computational process without errors. It's literally embedded in the system. I love reading people's mind. I'm only right 50% of the time. But hey, that's not bad. Nice. Probably get booted off a lot of No, you're not getting booted off. There are no filters, and I don't see any comments filtered. So I'm not sure what we're missing here. Unless TikTok is doing it in the background. What's up, Erica? So it's my not theirs. Probably. I don't know. I'm definitely not filtering you. There's no, and sometimes it would tell me like, do you want to filter this? And then I would tell you, but nothing comes up. Nothing that you said definitely is not filtered. I'm currently vomiting on it. Will my watching later as I'm currently vomiting on the toilet freshly after I've came from a wild night out. Thanks though. I've known as you were on the train in Tokyo. Nice. Nice. Wait, did I say it? Was I throwing up on a train in Tokyo? I was never throwing up on the train in Tokyo, unless I don't remember that. I'm sorry to hear that, bro. Hope you're gonna be okay. You know, some ginger can help. I don't always have control of what is filtered. Yeah, but they notify me, don't they? ¿Dónde está? Oh, strange. Maybe it's something in your settings. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you're sick. That's not fun. Same to a degree, completely different. Well, isn't that everything? Okay, I think Norman McKinnon. What's up, Norman McKinnon? I think today I'll adjourn right before 10 so I can go and prep for sleep early. Do you guys have any more specific questions, or we can adjourn and reassume the chat tomorrow related to Liam Neeson? Don't you asking me? I have a very special set of skills. I'm not sure if you're always notified of filtered comments. TikTok is weird. Yeah, TikTok is weird. The craziest part in general, not just TikTok, social media in general, when they don't tell you why there's a strike or a warning or like, I don't understand. Like, what? How hard is it to just tell you exactly why, so you can fix it or not do it anymore? Wouldn't that make a better space? No, you guess. I don't know what it is. Well, it's like a shitty girlfriend. It's like, you should have known. Or a boyfriend. 10 o'clock for me, yeah. What time is it for you? 1? Are you on the East Coast? Okay. Alrighty then. Hi guys. Well, we'll adjourn for today. Yeah, I'm in Pacific. I don't know. If you're in 10 p.m., then we're in the same time zone, yeah. AM. No, PM. What am I talking about? PM. 10 p.m. Also, there's a window behind you. You can see it's night, right? Where would I be when it's dark like this at 10 a.m.? Somewhere in Norway in the winter? It's neither Norway nor winter. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for everything. I didn't realize we are so close. We'll sleep well. Thank you so much, you too. And see you everybody tomorrow. Peace and love. Ciao. See you YouTube, TikTok, and X. If you guys don't mind giving a few likes to the live, that will help for future viewers. And much love, Danny. Much love, everybody. Thank you so much, and I hope you feel better. There you go. Balloons for you, Danny. Ta-ta.